Hello, my name is Bhargav Iyer, and this is my final report for CS620 Intro to Data Science and Analytics course. And my project that I'm going to talk about is a Jeopardy question recommendation system, essentially a tool in order to design and suggest personalized questions to players based on their past performances and or behavior during the game. So let me start with why I chose this project. I've always been an inquisitive person and I've always been curious on improving my knowledge. I'm a person who faces the unknown and wants to explore more further into it. So for me, quiz shows and testing myself have always been a priority. And Jeopardy is a good example of doing that. So essentially, the way Jeopardy works is it's essentially a quiz show. It gives you a question based off a category, and the goal is you compete with other people in order to answer those questions. My project is slightly different compared to that, in which my goal is based off of personal improvement. I essentially look at past performance of a user. In this case, I'm using myself as an example and try to improve based off of those past performance. So what would what does the this data set how what was this data set and how did I implement this? So this data set includes the question being asked, the date that the this question was shown, it was aired, the round, the category of the question, and the value of the question, which I used as the difficulty. I had to data wrangle, so essentially I had to clean up the data, deal with null values. Final Jeopardy tiebreaker, I had to change the values. I'm skimming past all this. Some of the answers I had to update to correct values. I obviously had to change the value to the values to numeric values. So we'll show the difficulty as numbers. So this part of the code, I had to essentially create a different set of categories, major categories, in order to essentially better predict what a user's next question should be. So essentially, what's wrong with the current categories is it was uh, had too many categories, so it wouldn't have been a good option to use as a predictor. So what I used was TF-IDF, term frequency, and yeah, and I used that in order to predict. And I used created 400 different categories instead of the 27,000 that originally had. I created four columns, answered correct prediction question ID. This will be, I'll explain more in the GUI portion. So this is a graph essentially to show the top 50 categories for the exploratory data analysis. This I'm using single value decomposition in order to predict for the prediction. So essentially, this is my hybrid recommendation system. It essentially first finds questions that the user gets wrong, then tries to give a potential questions that are less difficult but within the same category to improve the performance of the user. And if they get it correct, they try to go for different categories to branch out and potentially the same difficulty or even higher difficulty. And yeah, as you can see, I used the singular value distribution, decomposition, and I also looked at the exploration rate, see how far just explore for more different questions. Essentially, given in this problem, I set it to 0.2, but you can set it to whatever you want. So, and some occasions it'll branch out to different questions. This is a GUI, my GUI. And in my GUI, it essentially gives you the question, and then you write, oh, that's wrong. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, so you write your answer. Copernicus. See, for the last 8 years, that's the answer for this. Gives correct. You go to the next question. This one I do not know the answer to, so I'll just put in something random, my name, and it should show wrong. See, sorry. So this part is showing the evaluation of it. Essentially, it shows, this is before the questions that I had used just now, so it'll just show the seven. It shows the diversity of the categories, difficulty, and I'll show visualizations of this, of what's going on. Again, these are the visualizations, question number, major categories, category difficulty. And so essentially, it's showing what I'm trying to show is that the questions are trying to go more difficult, but if the user is getting them wrong, it goes lesser difficulty or stays the same. And essentially, it's trying to keep on, and it also tries to focus on categories the user gets wrong. For example, in this one, I'm getting 115 major category 115 wrong a lot, and it's showing that. Thank you. And I should probably end it with this is how I this this will be very useful for people who want to test, and I hope you encourage more people to use this to in order to prepare for Jeopardy. Thank you.